With changes to the Restaurant and Hospitality Modern Awards coming into effect on the 1st of September 2022, we thought it was about time that we took another look at the recent annualised salary provisions, which will be in place for these awards from that date, but are already, in effect in several other awards. Today's HR Live will cover which modern awards are covered by the annualised salary provisions, and if your business is covered, what are your compliance obligations? And also how they're being enforced by the Fair Work Ombudsman. My name's Andrew Kalita. I'm the Operations Director of On Demand HR. And since 2010, we've been helping businesses of all sizes to navigate through Australia's somewhat complex industrial relations system. And throughout this time, we've appeared in more than 120 matters before the Fair Work Commission and other bodies. And it's really this practical experience that goes well beyond theory that allows us to offer advice and insights which balance, on the one hand, risk against the interest of the business on the other. And this ultimately leads to decisions and outcomes that are in line with the business's overall objectives and not simply based on mitigating risk. This HR Live session that we do every Friday at 10 a.m. is also a fantastic opportunity for you to put forward any questions around HR or workplace relations that your business is currently facing. And of course, if we can, we'll try to answer them live on the stream. But if there's a bit more to unpack, we'll either cover it in a future session or alternatively, we give you an opportunity to schedule a free HR consultation that's supported by a strategic action plan with one of our experienced HR consultants. Okay, so with all of that out of the way, let's dive in to this week's topic. Okay, so as we can see on the screen at the moment, there's a lot of modern awards that have recently been updated to include annualised salary provisions. Now, these awards cover a wide range of industries and also include some of the more common modern awards, like the Clerk's Private Sector Award. And this means that it applies to a whole wide range of businesses. Also, highlighted at the bottom is the Restaurant and the Hospitality Awards, which are actually what prompted us to run this session today, because as of the 1st of September 2022, they're going to have similar obligations about as we're about to cover. So, what is an annualized wage agreement? Well, it impacts full-time employees who are paid an annual wage under one of the impacted awards. So, depending on the award, annual wage agreements can also include entitlements such as minimum wages, allowances, overtime, and penalty rates, and leave loading. Now, employers need to make sure that their employees' actual annual wage is high enough to cover the award entitlements that they've included in the arrangement. In other words, they need to make sure that the employee's annualized salary is more than what the employee would have been paid had they followed the award conditions. So, I guess in other words, if an employee's annual wage can't be less than what they would have been paid over the year, if they would have been paid all of their entitlements for their work. Now, the awards also have rules about what classifications can be paid an annual wage, what entitlements can be included in the annual wage, and whether the employer and the employee need to actually agree to these arrangements or they can simply be put into place. As every award is slightly different, it's really important that you read the annualized wage arrangement clause in your award, because it's not a blanket rule for all businesses and all awards. So, putting this all together, what are the business's obligations and compliance considerations for annualized wage agreements? Well, the arrangements must be made in writing and include the annual wage period, what award entitlements are included, how the wage has been calculated, and very importantly, the outer limits of penalty hours within a pay period or roster cycle that the employee can work without attracting extra payment. So to dive a little bit deeper into this, what I think is probably easier explained in a example. So let's say the employee was being paid $30 per hour on their annualized wage. Or let's maybe a better example. Let's say they're getting paid $60,000 per annum, and this under the award entitlements, we're obligated to pay them $50,000 per annum. So that's $10,000 per year of extra hours in this simple example that the employee can work without attracting overtime payments or extra payments. But we need to set out in our employment agreements the maximum amount of hours per period or roster cycle that they can work without having to pay that overtime, and make sure that that amount is balanced out over the year. So we've got an obligation to record the employee's start and finish time and any unpaid breaks taken, which was already in place prior to these amendments. The employee also needs to acknowledge the maximum amount of hours that they've worked at the end of each pay period or roster cycle. Again, these rules were already in place. And once agreed, either party can end the arrangement within 12 months notice or by mutual agreement at any time. And again, this varies depending on which award covers your business. We're also, as a business, obligated to undertake a reconciliation of employees' annual wages against the award entitlements. Now, there's a couple of timeframes that we need to do this. We could do this every 12 months after the agreement starts, when the arrangement ends, or when the employment ends. But either way, we have an obligation as businesses under the modern awards that include annualized salary provisions to do an audit at some stage. So, why is this significant? Well, the first 12 months of reconciliation was in March 2021. So that's when the first 12 months after these clauses were introduced, that the businesses started to incur an obligation to do these audits. And this was on the back of a crackdown in 2019 and 2020 on wage theft, to include ignorant non-compliance. So basically, I guess an introduction of criminal penalties for systematic underpayments. And we saw a lot of this in the news and media articles where quite large businesses were penalized by the Fair Work Ombudsman for getting their award interpretation wrong and required to not only pay back some additional entitlements, but also were subject to some fines and penalties from the Fair Work Ombudsman. And there was a 2019 case for maid establishment under the Restaurant Award where they were penalized $7.8 million because their annualized salaries were not above the award entitlements. So there's an increase in compliance requirements for small and medium businesses as well. So the rules and regulations under the award did not only apply to larger businesses, they also apply to small and medium businesses. And the question we ask is, if large businesses are getting it wrong in an ignorant non-compliance perspective, so i.e. not a systematic or designed process to underpay their employees, the fact that they can try their best to understand their obligations and get it wrong, what chance does small and medium businesses have in order to get this right? So there's a couple of ways that you can get on top of this as for your business. So you need to understand your risk. One way that you can do this is you conduct a workplace relations review, or you could schedule a free HR consultation and have a conversation with on-demand HR to work out which modern award covers your business, whether or not that award has an annualized salary provisions, and any changes or amendments that your business needs to take in order to remain compliant. The reality is, though, we could sit out here and make this sound as scary as possible, if you like, in order to try and encourage you to reach out to us to have a conversation. But the reality is, we've yet to see across our network the Fair Work Ombudsman enforce annualized salary provisions. Now, to be fair, this may have been a result of some leniency given by the Fair Work Ombudsman to businesses throughout the COVID period, because these changes, these annualised salary provisions, were introduced during the COVID period. But, the reality is there's nothing to say that this position that the Fair Work Ombudsman's taken to not proactively enforce these annualised salary provisions is going to continue on into the future. So that's why we wanted to run this session, to try and make sure that your business stays on top of its obligations. So from us, that's a wrap for this week's HR Live session. And if your business has some questions around annualized salary arrangements, or for that matter, any other HR or workplace relations challenge that your business is currently facing, let me introduce some of the on-demand HR team who are going to tell you a little bit more about our free HR consultation that's backed by a strategic action plan. Thanks very much for all of your attention, and looking forward to seeing you all next week.
Does your business currently have a HR or workplace relations issue?
Are you unsure how to work through compliance issues but still achieve a good business outcome?
Why not take advantage of On-Demand HR's free 30-minute online consultation with an experienced HR consultant?
At the end of the consultation, we also provide you with a strategic action plan to resolve your current issues.
To see the types of matters we can help with and to schedule your consultation, please visit ondemandhr.com.au/advice.
We look forward to delivering certainty, confidence, and clarity for your business in your HR and workplace relations affairs.